Guys, I know this sounds crazy, but I think something lives under my bed. And no, this isn't some childhood nightmare. I'm 32. A father. A realist. But what happened in 2015 still haunts me. It was a regular Thursday night. We just moved into our new house, a quiet, two-story place in the suburbs of New Jersey. Nothing fancy. Beige carpet, basic layout, 3 bedrooms, and a backyard barely big enough for a grill. I had just finished reading Goodnight Moon to my twins, Jack and Ellie, and tucked them into bed. My wife, Katie, was still downstairs cleaning up after dinner. The house was still unfamiliar to me, every creak sounded suspicious, and the hallways felt just a little too long. But I figured I'd get used to it. I was walking into our master bedroom when I felt cold. Not the AC is on too high, cold. I mean a sudden, unnatural chill. Like walking into a freezer that had been left open too long. And then, I noticed it, just a sliver of something off beneath our bed. A shadow. Not a normal one. It didn't align with the bedside lamp or the hallway light. It was darker than it should have been. Denser. And it moved. I blinked, leaned down slowly to look under, nothing. Just boxes. Storage bins. Dust. So I brushed it off. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my brain was still adjusting to the new place. But then the whisper came. Soft. Cold. Breathless. Just one word. Liam. My name. From under the bed. I froze. Didn't move. Didn't even breathe. I whipped around, Katie. No, she was still downstairs. I could hear her loading the dishwasher. I dropped to my knees and peered under the bed again, and I swear to you. The air under there was darker than the rest of the room. Still no eyes. No hand reaching out. Just, wrong. I pulled back, stood up, and turned the lamp on. Full light. Full reality. I told myself it was stress. I hadn't slept well in days. We'd been moving, unpacking, dealing with the kids' school transfers, all that. Still, I locked the bedroom door that night. Something I hadn't done in years. And I kept glancing at the bed. Even when I laid down. Especially when the room got cold again. But here's the part that really messed with me. At around 3:17 a.m., I woke up, wide awake, heart racing like I'd been running. And I saw it again. The shadow. Not under the bed this time. Spreading from beneath it. Reaching. Like a dark oil spill sliding across the carpet. No noise. Just movement. I flicked the lamp on, instantly. Gone. Not a trace. But the cold stayed. And the whispers. They were getting clearer. I knelt down one last time to prove to myself there was nothing there. Nothing. Just boxes, right? But this time, the boxes were gone. And something was breathing. I didn't tell Katie. Not that night. What was I going to say? Hey babe, by the way, I think there's a shadow under the bed that knows my name. No. I kept it to myself. But something changed in me after that. I started walking slower at night. Avoiding shadows. Flipping lights on faster than usual. The next day, I did something I hadn't done since we moved in. I got on my knees and fully checked under the bed, flashlight in hand. Guys, the boxes were back. But they were in different spots. Moved. Shifted. Like they'd been pulled out, then pushed back in. That night, I barely slept. I laid awake, listening. Waiting. Watching the carpet next to the bed like it would ripple. And at 3:17 a.m., same time as before, it happened. A sound. Tch. A dragging whisper. Not a voice. A presence. And the cold, that freezer cold, returned, hitting me in the spine. I sat up. No sound from the kids' room. Katie was sound asleep next to me. And then I saw it again. The shadow was back, darker, thicker, deeper than before. I did something I regret. I whispered back. Who are you? Silence. Then, from under the bed. You. I jumped out of bed, flipped on every light in the room, nothing. No shadow. No reply. But guys, I swear this next part is what made my blood freeze. When I checked under the bed, the boxes were stacked. Perfectly. Neatly. Labeled. Labeled with my name. And the word. Replacement. That's when I realized. This thing wasn't just watching me. It was planning something. And I wasn't the only one it had spoken to. Katie woke up the next morning and asked me if I'd been sleep-talking. You kept whispering, something like. Underneath me. Guys. I never said that. But I think it did. Okay. This is the part where I almost walked away. I almost packed the family up and left the house. But I didn't. Because part of me needed to understand what was happening. I know, sounds stupid, right? But when something starts whispering your name, when it knows your thoughts, leaving doesn't fix it. It follows. So I started testing it. The next night, I left my phone recording, mic on, screen off, tucked under the bed. Just to see if I could catch something. I set the alarm for 3:15 a.m. and left it running. When I checked the file the next morning, I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. There were no footsteps. No bumps. No breathing. Just one voice. Mine. Saying, in a whisper I swear I never made. I'm ready to come back now. Then silence. 20 full seconds of dead air. And finally, not my voice. Soon. I played it over and over again. It wasn't distorted. It wasn't corrupted. It was clean. Like a conversation had taken place. Like I was already part of it. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat up in bed with the lamp on. Katie noticed. She asked if I was okay. I said I was just stressed from work. Lied right through my teeth. But I couldn't stop listening to the recording. Couldn't stop thinking about what back meant. What was I returning to? That morning, I went into the attic. Something kept nagging me about this house, about how old it felt despite being built in the mid-2000s. The attic floor creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. Dust hung in the air like fog. Boxes everywhere. Most of them empty. But one stood out. Old. Wooden. Scratched. With a word carved into the top in jagged, shaky letters. Liam. I opened it. Inside. A journal. A broken toy truck. A photo of a man standing in front of this exact house. And a note that read. I wasn't supposed to wake up. I flipped open the journal. The handwriting looked exactly like mine. But I'd never seen it before in my life. And on the final page, there was a drawing. A bed. And something underneath it. A black smudge, shaped like a person crawling upward. The caption. He lives below. He wears your face. The attic box changed everything. That handwriting, the photo, the journal that read like a future I hadn't lived yet, or maybe a life I already lost. I didn't feel like myself anymore. That night, I tried to avoid the bedroom. I slept on the couch, lights on, TV humming quietly with static. But I woke up cold. Freezing. The lights were off. TV, dead screen. The hallway, pitch black. And when I looked down, my feet were covered in dust. Attic dust. Like I'd walked up there in my sleep. But I never moved. Or at least, I don't remember moving. When I checked the baby monitor, I nearly screamed. The camera was aimed at the crib, but something else was visible in the background. The floor. Our bedroom floor. And the shadow. It stretched across the room like a wound. Pulsing. Like it was breathing. I blinked and it was gone. I ran upstairs, nothing in the crib, nothing under the bed. But the carpet felt wet. Not with water. With cold. I tore the room apart. Flipped the mattress. Checked the vents. Looked behind every piece of furniture. And then I found something I shouldn't have. Behind the dresser, wedged in the corner, was a thin wooden panel. It looked like it didn't belong. I pulled it loose. Behind it, a tunnel. A narrow, downward crawlspace that shouldn't exist. Lined with splinters and darkness. At the bottom, I saw it. A shape. Flat. Wide. Spreading across the crawlspace like ink in water. And in the center, a hollow in the floor. A space shaped like a man. Exactly my size. I didn't climb down. I couldn't. But the cold came up anyway. And with it, the voice. Almost ready. That night, I woke up screaming. Katie said I'd been crawling in my sleep, all the way to the bedroom wall. She said my fingers were dragging across the floorboards. Trying to lift the panel back open. I didn't sleep again. I couldn't. Because I knew that if I did, I'd wake up on the floor again, crawling. So I stayed up. Sat in the hallway outside the bedroom. Just, watching. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the hallway went silent. Not quiet, silent. No hum from the fridge. No air vents. No house sounds. Just, void. And then the door behind me creaked open on its own. My bedroom. I didn't want to turn around. But I did. The shadow wasn't under the bed anymore. It was spilling out. Slow, rippling like liquid smoke. Filling the corners of the ceiling. Running down the walls like paint. I tried to back away, but the floor felt like syrup. My legs didn't move. And the room, I swear, it changed. The walls pulled wider. The bed twisted, stretched like wax. The ceiling opened to a dark sky, like the roof had vanished. But outside, there were no stars. Just, emptiness. And in the center of the room, standing perfectly still, was my silhouette. It didn't move. It didn't speak. But its presence filled the room like a scream I couldn't hear. Then the floorboards cracked, one by one. And something whispered beneath them. You left me behind. The shadow me raised its hand, and I felt mine lift against my will. You forgot who you are. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. The shadow stepped forward. I stepped back. Every move it made, I mirrored. And when it reached for me, I felt cold fingers wrapping around my throat, from the inside. I collapsed. Everything went dark. But just before I blacked out, I saw something. The crib. Empty. And the floor underneath it, rising. I woke up on the carpet. Alone. The bedroom was normal. Except the mattress was flipped. The panel in the wall was gone. And under the crib, there was a hole. Not deep, but fresh. Dug into the foundation. And inside it, a note. It read. One down. One more to go. I kept the note. I don't know why. Maybe proof that I'm not imagining this. Or maybe, because it feels like a warning. One down. One more to go. That night, I didn't just lock the bedroom door, I pushed a dresser in front of it. Then I checked the kids' room. Twice. Both sleeping. Peaceful. But the crib. The crib still felt wrong. Like the floor wasn't holding it properly anymore. So I lifted it. And underneath. The wood was soft. Warped. Breathing. No holes now, just the impression of one. Like it had closed itself. That was 2 nights ago. And things haven't stopped since. Lights flicker when I pass. Mirrors hold on to my reflection for a second too long. I hear tiny taps under the bed. Under the couch. Even under the stairs. Last night, I caught a glimpse of something inside the baby monitor again. Not a shape. A shadow behind a shadow. Smiling. This morning, I opened my closet. My clothes were fine, but the wall behind them. Carved. Not scratched, carved. My son's name. Over. And over. And over. He's not even old enough to spell. So I moved the kids into our room. I kept them there all day. Katie thinks I'm being paranoid. She's not seeing it. But I know the house is changing. The corners of the hallway seem sharper. The upstairs window, the one above the crib, now shows a dark sky even during the day. I tested it. Opened the blinds at noon. And the sky through that one window? Starless. Black. Moving. I stood there for maybe a minute. Maybe 2. And when I looked down, my shadow was reaching toward the crib. But I wasn't moving. I swear I wasn't moving. Tonight, I nailed the bedroom panel shut. And I whispered into the crawlspace. You can't have him. It whispered back. He's already underneath. I told Katie everything. The shadow, the crawlspace, the voices, all of it. She stared at me for a full minute, then said. You need to sleep. She didn't say I was crazy. But she didn't believe me either. So I agreed. Laid down beside her. Pretended to sleep. But sometime past 2 a.m. I heard the floor creak. Soft, slow footsteps near the crib. I sat up fast. Katie wasn't in bed. The crib was empty. Then I heard it. The dresser, scraping across the floor. The sealed panel, was open again. The nails scattered like someone had flicked them away. Katie stood beside the crawlspace. Her eyes wide. Not blinking. Like she was sleepwalking. But something told me she wasn't asleep. He's not crying anymore, she whispered. He's waiting. Then she stepped inside. I didn't think. I just followed. The tunnel wasn't the same. It had changed, grown. Now it spiraled downward like a drain. The air was cold and wet, like breathing inside a freezer full of rotting wood. The walls pulsed with faint black veins. And I swear, the deeper we went, the more I felt it, like something was watching me from behind my own eyes. Then we entered the chamber. It looked like our bedroom. Twisted. Rotated sideways. The crib hung from the ceiling, slowly spinning. The mattress was nailed to the wall. The floor was made of mirrors. But none of them showed us. Only shadows. Flickering. Moving in patterns I couldn't understand. Katie stood in the center, unmoving. When I tried to pull her away, the room spoke. Not with a voice. With feeling. You're the one who left first. The mirror beneath me cracked. Something pushed up through it. My own face. But it looked older. Tired. Broken. It grabbed my arm and whispered. You belong here now. I don't remember escaping. I woke up in the hallway. Face down. Katie was in bed. The baby asleep. But the closet door was open. Inside. A new photo. Black and white. Of me. Standing in the crawlspace. Smiling. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The shadow had taken too much, my sleep, my peace, my family. So I prepared. Nailed every panel. Blocked every vent. Covered every mirror. But the house was no longer just a house. It was a battlefield. At midnight, the walls began to pulse, like a heartbeat. The air grew thick. The floor trembled beneath my feet. Then the ceiling cracked open, spilling cold darkness. From the void, the shadow poured like liquid smoke. It spread fast, twisting through every crack, every corner. I stood my ground. In the center of the room, under the shattered light. I shouted, "You don't own me." The shadow faltered. It recoiled. But it was cunning. A mirror shattered behind me, and in it, I saw not myself, but a broken version of me, trapped, fading. I reached for it. For the part of me still human. And then, silence. The darkness retreated. The ceiling sealed itself. I collapsed, exhausted. The house was quiet. For now. But as I caught my breath, my eyes fell on the crib. The mattress was flipped again. The panel was gone. And in the quiet, I heard it, a soft, chilling whisper. See you soon. The shadow wasn't defeated. It was waiting. For me. For my son. And for the next night. The house feels quieter now. Too quiet. Days have passed since the shadow's retreat. But the silence isn't peace. Every corner still feels wrong. The air tastes heavy, like before a storm. Shadows linger longer than they should. I keep checking the windows. Hoping to see normal skies. But that one window upstairs. Still black. I'm not sure if the shadow's gone. Or if it's just waiting for me to forget. I try to sleep. But every time I close my eyes, I see that room. The twisted bedroom, the spinning crib, the cracked mirror. And I wonder. Is the nightmare really over? Or has it only just begun?
Hey, guys, that's the end of this story. What did you think? Did it creep you out, make you think, or remind you of something strange from your own life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing what you're feeling. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more eerie tales like this one. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next video, because you never know what's lurking around the corner. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.